creating wealth by age 50. At 30, he wasn't poor. He had a decent job, a roof over his head, and a life that looked perfectly fine from the outside. But he wasn't free. He was living in a comfortable cage built from paychecks that barely stretched to the next one. There were no debt collectors knocking on his door, a small mercy he was grateful for. But there was no luxury either. No spontaneous trips, no bold career moves, no safety net. He had just enough money to survive, to pay the bills and keep the lights on. And just enough fear to stay stuck. The fear of losing what little he had was greater than the hope of gaining something more. By 50, everything had changed. He was a different man, living a different life. This is not a story about a lottery win or a lucky stock pick. This is a story about discipline, the quiet, unglamorous, relentless kind. They say wealth is built overnight, in a flash of brilliance or a moment of market genius. They lie. Real wealth, the kind that lasts, is built quietly, in the early mornings and late nights, while no one is watching and no one is clapping. At 30, Daniel realized something painful. He was incredibly busy, but he was going nowhere. A hamster on a wheel, running faster and faster, just to stay in the same place. Same job, same routine, same excuses he told himself every Sunday night. Every morning he watched older co-workers walk in, their shoulders slumped with a quiet resignation. They talked about retirement like a distant mirage. That's when the thought hit him, cold and sharp. If I don't change, this will be my future. Their exhaustion will be my exhaustion. That night he didn't wish for a miracle or pray for a lump sum of money. He made a promise to his future self. I will build wealth slowly, brick by brick, and I will not quit, no matter how long it takes. Daniel started small, painfully small. First, he built a tiny emergency fund, just $1,000. It felt monumental. Then, he attacked his high-interest credit card debt with ferocious intensity. He set up automatic transfers to his savings account the day he got paid, paying his future self first, even when it felt pointless. He learned about money after work, devouring books on budgeting, investing and personal finance. The language of assets and liabilities became his second tongue. He stopped trying to impress people he didn't admire, trading expensive nights out for quiet nights in, studying. No one noticed his sacrifices. He drove the same old car, he wore the same old clothes. There was no visible progress to show for his efforts, only a growing balance in an account no one else could see. People laughed, not maliciously, but with a casual dismissiveness that stung.
Live a little man, you work too hard for nothing.
But discipline doesn't give rewards immediately. It doesn't offer instant gratification. It gives you a new identity first. By 35, Daniel wasn't rich. His life looked almost identical on the surface, but he was consistent. He was the man who saved, who learned, who planned. And consistency, over time, is the most dangerous force in the universe. Daniel didn't chase get-rich-quick schemes or volatile trends. He built engines of wealth, skills that paid. He became so good at his job they couldn't ignore him, then used that leverage to negotiate a raise. He started a small freelance side business, investments that compounded. He poured money into low-cost index funds month after month, ignoring the market's daily drama, and habits that protected his future. He automated his finances, following a simple 50-30-20 budget, 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and a non-negotiable 20% for savings and investments. Every extra dollar from a raise or a freelance project went directly into his assets, not into lifestyle inflation. While others upgraded their phones and cars, Daniel upgraded his patience. By 40, his net worth quietly crossed 6 figures. There was no party. No grand announcement, just a quiet nod of acknowledgement to the man he was 10 years ago, because his decade of discipline had taught him a crucial lesson. The loudest success is often the first to fade. Juan said, "Aber nachher." This is where most people give up. The journey isn't a straight line. The market dipped. An unexpected car repair cost thousands. Setbacks happened. But Daniel didn't panic. His habits were his shield. His emergency fund absorbed the shocks. He kept investing, buying more when prices were low, and then, slowly at first, and then all at once, time finally switched sides. It was no longer his enemy, but his greatest ally. His investments began to grow faster, the compounding curve turning sharply upward. His income multiplied as his freelance work and a small rental property he acquired began generating cash flow, and his stress plummeted. The constant low-grade anxiety about money began to dissolve. He wasn't working harder anymore. In fact, he was working less. He was working smarter, letting his systems and his money do the heavy lifting. At 45, the picture was clear. No consumer debt. Not a single dollar. Multiple diversified income streams that flowed in whether he was at a desk or not, and complete control over his schedule. For the first time in his adult life, money had stopped controlling him. He was now in control of it. At 50, Daniel didn't look rich in the way the world expects. There was no flashy lifestyle, no luxury cars, no online flexing for strangers, but he had something far more valuable, something truly rare: freedom. He chose how he spent his time, who he spent it with, and what problems he wanted to solve. His money worked for him around the clock, even when he rested or played. His family felt a deep sense of security, not from extravagance, but from stability. And that's when he finally understood the profound truth of his journey. Wealth isn't what you buy. It's not the number in your bank account. It's who you become while building it. If you're 25, feeling lost but full of time, start. If you're 35, feeling the pressure and thinking it's too late, start. If you're 45 and you think the ship has sailed, start anyway. You don't need a burst of motivation. That feeling is cheap and fleeting. You need discipline. The decision to show up when you don't feel like it. Because money grows, but discipline compounds. It transforms not just your bank account, but your entire life. If this story spoke to you, like the video to let us know. And subscribe for more stories about discipline and building real wealth. And remember, your future self is watching what you do today. Make them proud.